Hello, and welcome to Opal City Confidential, a Starman podcast, episode 15, where we will discuss Starman Volume 2, Issue 8, starring the amazing Jack Knight, and Adventure Comics 67, starring his father, the amazing Golden Age Starman Ted Knight. So let's get started with Jack's adventure. This was cover dated June 1995. Executive editor Jeanette Kahn, cover artist Tony Harris. The title of the story is A Night at the Circus 2, and that is Night spelt K-N-I-G-H-T, and it is, as I said last episode, a take on A Night at the Circus or A Day at the Races from the Marx Brothers. Writer James Robinson, penciler Tony Harris, inker Wayne Van Badger, colorist Gregory Wright, letterer John Workman, editor Archie Goodwin, and Chuck Kim. And the synopsis for this one is: fully equipped, Jack Knight returns to the circus to mete out justice. He is captured by freaks who tell him that Bliss is keeping them all prisoner, using some sort of mental power. Jack confronts Bliss, and with Michael Thomas's help, defeats them, thus freeing everyone. Featured character is Jack. We get to see Michael, the Blue Starman, in action. There's a little more of Matt O'Dare's life and what's going on here. There's Mr. Bliss, the villain, and some of the freaks. I don't want to use that word. The people that were being forced to be in the Freaks show. There's Brian Savage, which I will kind of leave that lay for this one. And Johnny Sorrow is mentioned in this. And he wouldn't appear until years later in Secret Origins of Supervillains Giant Size 1, which leads into his appearance in Justice Society, which I think is one of the great arcs in Jeff Johns' Justice Society. But let's talk about this issue. Last week, or 2 weeks ago, when we covered Jack before in 7, he had gone to the circus. He had gone out antiquing in Turk County, and he had happened upon a circus, and it intrigued him, and he started talking about Tim Browning's movie Freaks and stuff like that. And he came into contact with Mr. Bliss, who was a monster of some sort. And Jack gets his ass kicked, and he goes home, and he comes back. And he swears he's going to come back. Well, he's back. And I like it. He comes back. And this issue starts with him already back at the circus. And I'm going to read you what he's thinking on this first page. Anger bred my earlier words. They will wish they'd never met me. Yeah, right. I'm going to attack the circus, flying, a hopping, and a hollering. Yeah, right. For a moment there, I thought like a hero, a big, tough, two-fisted, brightly colored hero. And then I glanced myself at the mirror. I glanced at myself in the mirror, and remember, I wasn't, and that I didn't have a clue to what I was going to do about the circus and its freaks, and Bliss, its owner. And even now, as I creep through the canvas and shadow, and hey, I still don't. So he's sneaking through here. This is beautifully drawn by Tony Harris. And Renee, the woman with like the octopus arms, she tells her story, how they're all prisoners of Bliss. And they've all been altered by him to be freaks in his show, and he lives off their fear and their anguish, and that in the midget that looks like a little Hitler is a man who is of Jewish descent, and he's been tortured by Bliss. And you normally don't live long, like the poodle girl's about to die, because he slowly sucks the life out of you. And find out Michael's been here since 1985. So when this came out, that was, good God, 14 years? Well, from his creation, 6 years, and then it's been another 14 years. So he's been trapped in the circus for 14 years. And all this does is make Jack get angry enough to do what he just said he wasn't going to do. He thought he was going to do, I'm a superhero. And then he realized they needed them, and he's motivated to do it. Then we cut to Interlude 1, which is Matt O'Dare. And Matt is dreaming of a man called Brian Savage, who we'll find out who he is. He was a sheriff. He was the first sheriff of Opal City. And we get a little information in this interlude. The night is one of new friends and enemies for Jack indeed. But for another, this night is one of dreams, old dreams, familiar and worn. His apartment in Opal City is one of the nicest on Noodle Avenue and nicer than a cop's pay should afford. If the cop was clean. This policeman isn't, and his family would kill him if they knew. Matthew O'Dare, a bad cop, filthy rich from bribes and vice, nor does he ever sleep alone. There's always a lady of the evening to be arrested who'd rather spend the night with him than in a jail cell. But alone or not, as Matthew sleeps, he dreams of a past, a time past. A man who was once law in Opal City, gone by the dreams of the other man's life. Moments. Matthew O'Dare stirs. He murmurs a name, Brian Savage, but doesn't wake. Then there's interlude 2, and there's a man fleeing a predatory bird coming out of a poster that says heaven, and the caption is, on a wall in the other part of the city, a poster comes to life, and an innocent is taken. And then we cut back to Jack. And he's going through his thought process. He's going to fight a demon. He's freaked out. You know, this is the kind of thing superheroes do, and they're super teams. And, you know, he doesn't know what he's going to do. And then he confronts Bliss. And Bliss knows who he is. He's figured it out. And it's great. Jack Knight, of course. Now I know who you are. Starman. I had a friend, a supervillain, back during the war years. Johnny Sorrow was his name. Your father fought him. But that was then, and that was them. This is us. And he turns into a full-blown monster. He tries to take the staff from Jack, and Jack fires at him, and Bliss is a leech of energy, whether it be emotional energy or power energy, so he starts taking it. And Jack's realizing, you know, that he's barely touching him. And I think he starts to realize what's going on. But the whole time, something begins to stir within Michael as the battle goes on. I mean, Crush comes back, the big bold guy from before, and the battle goes on. Jack's flying through, and slowly the freaks start to feel, not the freaks, the circus folk begin to feel hope. So does Michael. And then Michael takes to the air, and then it's two of them blasting away, and then there is so much hope, it destroys Bliss, and it's beautifully rendered. And I love it. They both float down to the ground. Michael puts his hand on Jack's shoulder, says something in an Azalian language, and Jack goes, no, I'm Starsky, you're Hutch, which I loved. I thought that was great. And then all the circus people are happy, and the final splash page is them yelling, we're free, and Jack thinking, I have to be hard about this. I'll demand circus props and posters in return for their freedom. Yeah. But if I just write off my good deed done like an old-time Western hero, then where is that going to get me? I might become, if I'm not careful, I might become everything my dad wants me to be. Hero for hero's sake. I can't let that happen. Gotta be hard about, but man, that feeling, having done the right thing and survived for doing it, sure feels good. And the first step to becoming a superhero. Jack, it's great. I love that. It's one of my favorite stories. There's one more issue there's a little wrap up in the next issue about his adventure in the circus and Michael, and then it starts to lead into the big finale of the first act, which would have been the first trade, Sins of the Father. We're getting close to that. Where I read it this time, I read it in the compendium. I think I'm going to keep the compendium out and keep my nice hardcovers nice on the shelf, and the compendium will keep me on track. It is gorgeous. I got another compendium last week, top 10, the complete top 10, and I got the complete Tom Strong in the mail. Well, it's not in the mail yet, but I'm getting it. I ordered from In Stock Trades. I can't wait to read it. Now they just need to do Prometheus. But, hey, folks, get the compendiums. But this is a great issue. It's one, the art is stunning. I love the story in Turk County. And we're getting, the next adventure involves the poster, which is Shade and That's not the next, but it's coming up the poster. Slow build to that, and that's a big adventure with Jack and Shade. This is him getting to be just a simple hero. It doesn't have anything to do with the Mist or any of that other stuff at the beginning. This is his first kind of real venture outside Opal, where he just has to be a hero for being a hero, to save an innocent group of people who are being abused. It's a wonderful story. I love it. It was a lot of fun to read. I really enjoyed it. I forgot some of the... I just love Robinson's, and maybe a little overwriting for some taste, but I just loved it. And it's a great issue, a lot of fun. Check it out. It's on the app. It's available in the compendium, which I think is still available everywhere. And it's just a lot of fun. So let's get on to Adventure Comics 67, the introduction of The Mist. Okay, this Adventure Comics 67 is cover dated October 1941. Executive editor Whitney Ellsworth. Cover artist Jack Burnley. It's a great one. It is Starman punching a pilot. They're great Golden Age covers. This one is called Starman, The Menace of the Invisible Riders. Writer Alfred Bester, science fiction writer Alfred Bester. I love that. Alfred Bester was a famous science fiction writer. There's Walter Koenig played a Psycop in Babylon 5 named after him. And he wrote Mandrake the Magician. I did not know that. But that was very cool. I knew he had done some of these. Penciler Jack Burnley, inker Jack Burnley, Ray Burnley, colorist Raymond Perry, sorry. Letterer Betty Bentley, editor Whitney Ellsworth. Starman synopsis for the Invisible Riders. I'm going to read you this off to the DC fandom database. A new criminal mind, the Mist, is sealing American secrets and has already accumulated quite a few. He's embittered because he and his inventions were scoffed at by the military during the First World War. With his Inviso solution, he could render people, even airplanes, invisible. The Mist and his band of living shadows plan to steal all the U.S. secrets and sell them to foreign enemies. He also intends to bomb U.S. factories in Pittsburgh and Bethlehem from invisible planes. The Mist hideout is in gigantic cavern in Kentucky. That, I guess, would be Carlsbad. And he has some invisible single-engine bombers down there. How do you get a bomber in a cave? It's the 40s. Anyway, plus a secret hangar entrance, too. That's how. And a spaceship. It's a cool spaceship. It's a green spaceship. It's a neat spaceship. Ted Knight and Doris Lee are touring the gigantic cavern when Ted is contacted by Woodley Allen via flashing signal on his gravity rod. Ted does his hypochondriac act to ditch Doris. That she falls for continually is amazing. His new fiance, they're getting hitched, and slips away to change clothes. Then he waits until nightfall, powers up his rod, and flies off, following Alan's signal. Doris and the tourist group and one guide are trapped below ground by an artificial cave slide induced by the living shadows. Alan and Starman's meeting is interrupted by a radio news report of the cave slide. Starman flies back to Gigantic Cave like a bullet. Exploring the deeper parts of the cavern, he encounters and brawls with a bunch of invisible thugs and eventually gets knocked out. At the Mist's direction, the living shadows get rid of Starman by dropping him into a very deep pit. And when she talks back defiantly to the invisible goons, what I'm reading says goose, so there's a missing letter. Doris is also flung into the pit, but Starman recovers his senses and gravity rods his way out of there, catching Doris also. She tells him about the bombers, and Starman pursues and intercepts them somewhere between Kentucky and Pennsylvania and blows up all the dive bombers in midair. No parachutes are seen. Back in the cavern, the Mist grabs Doris and tries to escape in his personal spaceship, which Starman also intercepts and destroys. The Mist is punched unconscious and left behind in the disabled plummeting spaceship and is afterward presumed dead. This is the Mist's first appearance, and he will be... and he doesn't come back until... Wow, I guess it's... Oh, man, I'm trying to see this. Hold on a second. He's just such a great character, and he's such a big part of Jack's that I forget that he only appeared a couple times, and then it was mostly in the Silver Age. And then Robinson made him the big villain, him and his daughter and his son. It's great. It was a fun issue. Again, this one and the last one have been a little bit better. I mean, I think of all the 40s comics I've read, and I've read as many as I do say some of them are hard to translate. These translate better because they are pure action. There's no troublesome. There's some sexism, but there's nothing really off color. It's just a straightforward adventure comic, and the art is, I think, some of the best. And it's just a great, it's a great 8-page adventure. It's well drawn. It's well paced. And the Mist is a good villain even back here, except he's not really a Mist. He's just using invisible stuff on a robe, so it looks like he's just a floating head, which what allows Starman to punch him. But it's a fun story, beautifully drawn, and there's some great things. And I do like the big giant green spaceship. But it's 40s fun. I mean, I really did enjoy it. It's really cool. I can't wait to read more of The Mist, and just more of Ted. It's a lot of fun. I've been thinking that maybe I do more than one issue of Jack a week. To move it along, but I hope you guys are enjoying it. Please let me know what you think. It would be helpful. Next week is Prince Gavin again. Let me make sure. Let me look at my little schedule. It is the next 2 issues of Prince Gavin's fun adventures in Adventure Comics by Paul Levitz and Steve Ditko, which I'm enjoying too. I really am enjoying this. This was neat to read. I read the next issue to kind of get ahead. I kind of read ahead, read back, I've said before. I do like that I'm jumping around between the different Starmen. It's fun. As long as I can stay on the schedule. I had to take a couple breaks, teeth, other things. And I'm going to try to get ahead with recording so I can kind of stay in pace, because I kind of feel that I'm missing. So I don't think I can give you... I want to give you a good, full-voiced opinion on these comics without being 30 minutes long. This episode will not be that, which is good. But I like jumping around, and I'm enjoying it. But I kind of want to think. I kind of want to read ahead a little bit of everybody and then go back when I'm going to do their issue. So I've got these more stuck in my head, and I can give you a better conversation. All right? So, again, next week, Prince Gavin. Next after that, Adventure Comics 68 and Starman 9. And then, a surprise, when we get to Will. As I didn't know this because I didn't read Starman in 88, that the next issue is after Invasion 1. So what I'm going to do is integrate the 3 Invasion issues in with Will. So next one will be Invasion 1, Starman Volume 1, 5, Invasion 2, Starman Volume 1, 6, Invasion 3, Starman 7. To get that all kind of, because they are kind of connected, and I kind of want to do it that way. So I hope you enjoy it. I have not read Invasion for a long time. I didn't dig out. I think I have the issues. I thought I had a trade. Is there a trade of it? I don't know. I thought I had a trade or something. But it's on the app, and it was nice, and it's early Todd McFarlane. There'll be stuff to talk about. Okay, folks. But that's it. Thursday, more Legion Adventure. Saturday, Stargirl, The Lost Children, issue 6. And I still don't know what I'm going to read with it. So it'll be a surprise to both of us when we get to the weekend, okay? Hey, y'all be safe, be smart, be kind, and read some comics. Read some Starman comics. Read some top 10 comics. And if you want, you should read some Tom Strong. Get these books. They're great. They're fun.